Good evening, you're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Saraya Mia. The Cabinet Committee to Tackle Traffic Congestion presents immediate solutions to tackle the problem affecting city dwellers, especially in the Klang Valley area. Chairperson Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said one of the measures is to ensure roads closed due to construction works are reopened as soon as possible.
Penyelesaian immediate yang harus diselesaikan satu adalah untuk mengatasi masalah kesesakan yang berpunca dari penutupan jalan-jalan. Dan suatu koordinasi akan dilakukan dengan segera bagi kawasan-kawasan pembinaan lebuh raya atau bangunan atau lain-lain infrastruktur. Ya. Penutupan jalan ini hendaklah dikurangkan dan mesti dimaklumkan supaya ada kaedah penyuraian terhadap masalah lalu lintas.
He said local authorities in the Klang Valley will have to submit their plans to the Cabinet's Technical Committee within 2 weeks to identify all road closures which contributed to daily traffic congestion and come up with a plan on how the affected roads will be reopened. Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan have agreed not to contest against each other in the Penang state election. Chief Minister and State PH Chairperson Chow Kon Yeow says the coalitions will work together to ensure a big win as partners.
According to Chow, PH incumbents would contest in their respective state seats. He added that discussions only involved UMNO for now, although he did stress that all component parties should be included. UMNO has expressed an interest in contesting in the 15 Malay majority seats in Penang. He said further talks between the two coalitions will take place after receiving feedback from their respective leaderships. A total of 40 seats will be contested in the coming election, which is expected to be held in July alongside Kedah, Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Kelantan and Terengganu.
Meanwhile, the sugar supply shortage in the East Coast caused by temporary closure of sugar mills in Johor and Seberang Perai, Penang, has been restored. Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Datuk Sri Salahuddin Ayub said the factories closed temporarily for Aidilfitri but resumed operations on April 25th.
Jadi saya harap penduduk-penduduk tidak panik dan juga tidak terpedaya dengan mungkin isu yang dimainkan harga gula akan naik. Jadi setakat yang telah kita buat pemantauan beberapa hari ini, pihak penguasa telah dapat untuk mengatasi isu kekurangan ini yang berlaku di beberapa tempat, khususnya di Kelantan dan juga di Terengganu.
Previously, there were reports by residents in Kelantan claiming of a sugar shortage in the state since April 22nd. This led residents to speculate a possible increase in the price of sugar.
So far, KPDN memberikan jaminan setakat hari ini tidak ada apa-apa keputusan untuk kita menaikkan harga gula dan rakyat masih dapat membeli bekalan gula dengan harga yang ditetapkan pada hari ini.
The Monetary Policy Committee is expected to have a meeting to decide on whether there is a need to increase the overnight policy rate OPR. Dr. Shankaran Nambiar of Malaysia Institute of Economic Research, MIER, says the rate will remain at 2.75%. Here's why.
The question of inflation seems to be easing. And I think given global conditions, it might not be a good idea to go in for a rate hike and raise the cost of credit. Also, I think the external environment is kind of challenging. With all these questions under consideration, I think Bank Negara would like to take a pause and see how things go. I suppose they would also want to evaluate what's happening on the US side, what's happening with respect to the Fed and what the Fed is likely to do before embarking on a further rate hike, if that is at all necessary.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Bagaimana konsultan Unify Business boleh membantu Cindy mengurus jualannya pada pelbagai platform?
Jom Unify Business.
Betul tu. Sekarang belia boleh jimat masa dan kos. Serta semua diintegrasikan pada Unify E-Commerce Hub. Transformasikan perniagaan dengan Unify Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Hubungi kami sekarang. Jom Unify Business.
Berita baik untuk semua pelanggan Astro. Jika anda seorang usahawan, anda berpeluang memenangi sebahagian pakej media bernilai RM1 juta untuk memajukan perniagaan anda. Dapatkan tips-tips di The Sandbox dari para usahawan terkenal Malaysia dan hantarkan kertas kerja perniagaan anda kepada kami. Astro dan Melody menyokong PKS tempatan.
Premium 1 dipenuhi dengan Astro Originals terbaik. Hai. Komedi terbaik.
Kau jangan jadi anak dah.
Disney Plus Hotstar terbaik.
Kau 어떤 사람이었어도 난 널 사랑해.
HBO Go terbaik. Acara sukan secara langsung terbaik. Nikmati keindahannya. Switch sekarang.
Welcome back. Thousands of film and television writers under the Writers Guild of America, WGA, are set to go on a strike beginning today, marking its first walkout since 2007. The strike is expected to bring many productions to a halt, dealing a blow to an industry severely impacted by the recent global streaming television boom.
The strike was called after the Guild's negotiations with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents the major studios including Disney and Netflix, failed to reach an agreement for higher pay. The Guild represents roughly 11,500 writers in New York, Los Angeles and elsewhere. According to the group, half of the television series writers now work at the minimum salary levels, compared with one-third just a decade ago. Besides higher pay, WGA also wants safeguards to prevent studios from using AI to generate new scripts from writers' previous work. Nightly talk shows, including The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, are expected to immediately go dark following the strike. The previous strike 15 years ago lasted 100 days and cost the California economy more than $2 billion as productions shut down and writers, actors as well as producers cut back spending.
The Australian government will ban recreational vaping and tighten other aspects of e-cigarette laws to curb an alarming rise in teenage vaping. In one of its biggest crackdown on the tobacco industry in more than a decade, Australia will ban all disposable vapes, halt imports of non-prescription vapes, and restrict nicotine levels in e-cigarettes.
Just like they did with smoking, let's be very clear about this. Big Tobacco has taken another addictive product, wrapped it in shiny packaging, added sweet flavours to create a new generation of nicotine addicts. Young vapers are 3 times as likely to take up smoking, so it is no wonder that under 25s are the only cohort in our population that are seeing smoking rates actually increase.
Butler said vapes were intended to be sold only as products to help smokers quit. Under the new rules, vapes will be sold only in pharmacies and require pharmaceutical-type packaging. Additionally, the federal budget due out next week will include 234 million Australian dollars for measures to protect against the harm caused by tobacco and vaping. Australia has one of the toughest anti-smoking laws in the world after it becomes the first country in 2012 to force cigarette producers to abandon distinct, colourful branding and sell their products in uniformly drab packets.
In other news, Palestinian prisoner Kadir Adnan has died in Israeli custody after being on a hunger strike for nearly 3 months. This was the first of such fatality in more than 3 decades of tensions between Israel and Palestine.
Israel's prison service said Adnan, who was a part of Palestine's Hamas group, was found unconscious in his cell early Tuesday and transferred to a hospital where he was declared dead. He had also previously refused the service's medical care. Physicians for Human Rights Israel says a doctor who visited Adnan several days ago wrote a medical opinion outlining immediate risks to his life, but were ignored. They said he chose a hunger strike as a last resort, a non-violent means of protest against the oppression of himself and his people. The 45-year-old had been detained by Israel 12 times, spending around 8 years in prison. Israel currently holds over 1,000 Palestinian detainees without charge or trial, the highest number since 2003.
Tonight on Consider This, our focus will be on the Penang South Islands Reclamation Project. We speak to guests, which include activist Mina Rahman, Ku Salman Nasution, and Penang Executive Councillor Zairil Khair Johari. All coming up right after this. And that's all for AWANI Tonight. I'm Saraya Mia. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Big Stage 2023.